your what is your favorite overall game that you've gotten in your memory of all the games you've watched? What's your favorite game that you can think of?
Well, as a Buffalo Bills guy, I think there were two games that I went to as a Bills fan that I loved. Of course, the greatest comeback game at the end of the '92 season. They were down 35-3 to Houston with Frank Reich as quarterback. They came back 141-38. And then a couple of the championship games. I was not at the first one against Oakland. I was home watching that one, but the Bills won 51-3. That was the most, the greatest moment for a Bills fan because we're finally going to the Super Bowl. But I did go to the fourth one when Buffalo beat Kansas City 30-13. And that's when the Chiefs had Joe Montana, Mark Sal on that team, but Buffalo was way better, and they were at home. And so that was a great memory. I think as a non-Bills fan, there are two games that stand out to me as like the greatest games. I think the Patriots-Seahawks Super Bowl was amazing. There were so many caveats to that game as a historian that I love to pull apart. Scale back and just look at the game from a totally just a historical perspective, not as a fan.
One of the best Super Bowls in recent history too. I mean, as far as action and being on the edge of your seat and all that. Yes, I have to agree. Even though it didn't have skin in the game.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Giants was the one where the Patriots were undefeated going in.
07.
07 season. That's probably the tensest game I've ever seen. That score, if you remember this, the Giants went down and on their first possession kicked a field goal. The Patriots went down on their first possession, scored a touchdown on the first play of the second quarter. So only two possessions, and the score is 7-3. Well, in real time, this is the whole second quarter, and then Tom Petty halftime show, and then the whole third quarter, the score stayed 7-3 that whole 2.5 hours. And so as a fan, it was so tense. It was so incredible. And then what was at stake, an undefeated season. And oh my God, sometimes when I'm laying in bed at night, I think about that game. And I'm like, oh my God, what a great football game.
Do you know what's interesting about that game and why that game I will remember probably at the top of my mind? I was working at a 4-star restaurant down south, and 4 hours before kickoff, right, we're talking about the game. And I look at the other guys I'm working in the kitchen with, and I said, I don't need to watch the game tonight because I already know what's going to happen. The Patriots they're gonna be up 14-3. I said, and the Giants are going to come back and win 17-14 with less than 20 seconds left and end their season. I said, Eli Manning's going to throw, big pass and da-da-da. I said, and they're like, what? And I said, it's going to be 17-14. Giants are going to win in the last seconds of the game. Just tell. And I couldn't watch the TV. I actually got pulled off the line at my job so I could watch the last 5 minutes of the game because my boss said, I can't believe it, you son of a gun. You should have bet on the game. Everything you said is happening. Get your ass out here and watch this.
Amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah, and it was just me talking smack, but it's what I thought was going to happen, and it went down like that, and that was the start of everybody saying, Jay, you need to spend more time with football, and that's how we are where I am today.
I love it. Jay, I have two memories about predictions that I've made. One that was completely right, spot on, and one that I was way off. So I'll tell you a little bit about both of those games.
Ooh, interesting.
The first
I
one,
like this.
Yeah, it was at the end of the '92 season. Was the Cowboys and 49ers were playing the championship game, and this was when the 49ers had Steve Young and George Seifert, and they were home favorites. And the Cowboys were still very, very young, but they were great. They were really great on defense, and then on offense they had Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman and all this. And I said to my buddies the night before the game, I said, I think, you know what? I think Dallas is going to win this game. And they're like, no, they're not going to win. I was like, yeah, they're going to win this game. And the next day, the game went kind of exactly as I thought, and Dallas pulled off the upset. But now I'll tell you the game where I was completely wrong. It was the Eagles-Vikings championship game a couple of years ago. And
yeah, that was a hard one to predict though. You got to take, can't be too hard on yourself for that one because I don't think anybody picked that one right, quite honestly.
I even wrote about it. I wrote I was picking games, and I wrote this week. I said yeah, I think the Patriots are going to beat the Jaguars. I don't think they're going to cover the spread, but I like the Patriots to beat the Jaguars. In the late game, I just cannot see how the Eagles are going to score on the Vikings defense. I remember writing that. And of course, they scored 31 on offense and a total of 38 and won 38-7.
It was only because you wrote that, though.
Yeah, maybe. But I didn't see it. The Eagles really struggled the week before against the Falcons. It took a Matt Ryan to Julio Jones just miss for the Eagles just to advance, and then the Vikings won on that miracle against the Saints, and I thought they'd come in with all this momentum. They had a great defensive season. I didn't see Nick Foles. Nick Foles the month before played this game against Oakland on Monday night, and he was terrible. He was, if you remember correctly now, he was an every other game guy. He had good one game, next game laying it. Good. It was like it was the roller coaster, and you could predict it by whatever he did the last week, basically. Amazing. Well, anyway, he got me on that one.
Yeah, he got everybody on that one, and then he went on to win the Super Bowl. In fact, I believe Nick Foles just got Carson Wentz paid, because if they don't win the Super Bowl, do you think they're really going to throw all that money at Carson Wentz? So I mean, I think he should maybe throw him a check or something.
Yeah, I'm sure they've given each other plenty of stuff. I was at the game that season in the Coliseum when Carson Wentz tore his ACL, and there was a lot of Eagles fans. You know how the Rams games, the road team has more fans there than they do, and
yes.
This was legitimately the case. And these Eagles people were getting mad at Rams fans for the quarterback getting hurt. They're like, "Thanks a lot, you ruined our season." And it turned out everything went just fine.
Yeah, they should thank the Rams players in the city of LA altogether. I mean,
sure.
Okay, well, we got about 7.5 minutes left, so let's put it like this. Okay, Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers? I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. Now you don't have to say anything you don't want to say, but that's the question everybody wants. And as a historian, I know you've got every play. And they're two different quarterbacks, Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my God. I think Aaron Rodgers, when all is said and done, will go down as the higher on my list of all-time quarterbacks. And I'll tell you why. I think he's had less to play with the last 10 years than Favre did during his prime. I think Favre had better coaching. I think Favre had a better running game. I know Favre had a better defensive line. The one place where Rodgers gets me is there's a couple of real iffy games in the playoffs. I don't like his performance in the NFC Championship game at Seattle.
2014?
Yeah, I don't like that one. I hate his game against the Giants in 2011.
2011, the 15-1 season.
They were clearly the best team in football that year.
But again, that was another game though. I did not predict the score, but going in before the weekend before, when the Giants were playing, I said we need the Giants eliminated. They are the team that's that bad matchup for us. We don't want to see the Giants. And everybody said, "Oh, we're so good, we're crazy." I'm saying we can beat anybody else. We don't want to see the Giants. And again, I was right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Patriots felt the same way in the Super Bowl. I think they really wanted to face the 49ers with Alex Smith instead of the Giants too. Yeah, so that is what it is. But I will say this: I think you can have Favre and you can have Rodgers, but I'd take Bart Starr over both of them. He was.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Go deeper into that. 5 minutes. Go deeper into that while you can. That's an interesting take.
Yeah, Bart Starr was he got them both in poise. He definitely made less mistakes definitely more than Favre, of course. That's what Favre's biggest weakness was, those critical mistakes. But
Right.
Bart Starr didn't make mistakes. He was such a great control man. You know, he was in charge on the field. He was great at executing his game plan. His third down conversion rate is phenomenal. You know, his ability to play within the system. You know, some people criticize Tom Brady or Peyton Manning as system quarterbacks, which is whatever. I mean, they think it's a negative, but it's a positive. Bart Starr was the ultimate system quarterback and understood the situation down to distance, and he knew what it took to win. You know, he wasn't about numbers. He was about winning, and he always won. You look up his stats, you look up his win-loss record. You know,
I believe he's 9-1 in the playoffs, and that
was,
yeah. And that one loss was his first playoff game, and therefore went on a 9 straight wins in the playoffs. Five championships in 10 years.
Yeah,
actually,
exactly.
It was 5 and 7, but
yeah, exactly. And you know, a deeper dive is, you know, there's so much more than just his one win-loss record. But you know, even in the 1960 championship game against the Eagles, I mean, if you rewatch the tape, it wasn't his fault they lost, you know. But I'll tell you what, those Super Bowl 1 and 2, it was his fault they won. Because he was fantastic.
Right,
I mean,
right. Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's just, I guess I find it interesting because you just never hear that enough from really anybody, quite honestly, man. Like, it's that era those guys can't be better because, you know, they didn't have the stats, So that's an interesting thing there, but quite honestly, I love Brett Favre because I was an Iron Man. I'm 5'8", 160 pounds now. You know, I'm a small guy, and I was a little guy. I grew 7 inches after I graduated high school. So Brett was that Iron Man, but Aaron is just better quarterback. But I've always said Bart Starr to me was Tom Brady before Tom Brady was Tom Brady, and nobody gives him credit. So it's interesting that you bring that up and kind of put it into that context, because I try to say stuff like that, and I'm just a crazy guy in the UP. Somebody like you that knows history, it gives it some weight and clout there. So that's awesome that you said that.
I love Bart Starr. I love him as a football historian. He's my childhood. He's my NFL films. He's my John Facenda. And, you know, people forgot how good of a player he is, because in that era, you know, there was Johnny Unitas in the NFL and there was Joe Namath in the AFL. And people forget that actually Bart Starr was just as good as both of them. And Len Dawson of the Kansas City Chiefs, he should go down in history as better than Namath. You know, there's.
Well, Namath gets all the credit for being bold and brash and fur coats and all that stuff, you know, which is, you know, it sticks to your memory better. Well, we got about 1:43, Brandon. So I want to thank you very much for coming on. I hope we can get you on again, because I know you're a super busy guy. In fact, you're going on TV tonight. Why don't you tell everybody what you're going to do tonight while you got time?
I'm going on the Humor Collective. That's a podcast here in Las Vegas. They focus more on comedy, but of course, I'm going to switch up and talk to them about sports. So that's just
it would only be appropriate. Yeah.
Right.
Well, why don't you give out all your credentials there? Where can people find you? Where do we find you? What are your links?
Follow me at @spot_Bills, and you're going to learn one piece of history every day. Tonight I'm wrapping up my 43 World Series in 43 days. Tomorrow I start the 54 greatest playoff games of all time with the 2013 NFC Championship game, Seahawks versus 49ers. So we'll talk about that this week.
Oh, well, that's very interesting. All right, folks. Well, that's all we got for tonight. We thank Dr. SuperBowl for coming on and sharing his humor, his history, and his takes, and, you know, giving us those nuggets of the Packer void years that none of you probably already knew. Thanks a lot, Brandon, for joining the show. Right, we hope to get you back on. And you folks have a great night. Go, Pack, go.
Go, Bill.